reach, identity, relationship. This will be our ultimate goal today. So jot down those three words. Last week, we talked about a church with 25,000 profiles and only 2,500 people in worship on any given Sunday. More than 200 of those profiles were named David. No last name, no contact information, no way to tell one from another. If you have not watched that one yet, go back and watch it first. Everything we build today stands on what we uncovered there. We laughed about it a little at the time, but we also told the truth about it. That kind of cleanup is intensive. It takes real time, and it is worth every minute. The Lord is my shepherd, David wrote in Psalm 23, and that calling did not end with David's penning of that song. We are the shepherds now. We are the caretakers for the people entrusted to us, not managers of data, shepherds of a flock. Your database cannot tell you the difference between 200 different Davids. You cannot shepherd them. You cannot tell who needs a visit, who has just lost a spouse, who has not been back for 3 months. The number matters because the people matter. So if you do the work, you will know your flock a little better this week than you did last week. And that is worth celebrating. So take your average worship attendance, multiply it by 3. Now look at how many profiles are actually in your system. That gap is going to tell you a story, because a healthy database is not just your Sunday morning head count. It includes the children in the nursery. It includes the givers who support the church but rarely make it to a Sunday service. It includes those families that only show up at Christmas or Easter or Mother's Day, and you should still know they exist. Here's why that matters more than you might think. Because those occasional attendees consider you their church home. When the hospital calls, when a marriage is struggling, when a parent passes away, they will not call the church down the street. They are calling you. If your system does not know they exist, you cannot be ready when the call comes. And here's something that COVID has changed that most churches are just living into. Your flock is not just who walks through the door anymore. Some of your sheep are watching from down the block, or perhaps from a couch 3 states away via your live stream every single week. Some of them found you through Facebook posts or an Instagram reel and have never once set foot in your building. Yet they are giving, they are praying, and they are a part of what God is doing in your church. Are you counting them? Do you even know their names? A shepherd does not get to say a sheep does not count if it's not standing in the same pasture. 3 times your attendance accounts for the fullness of who your church actually touches, and these days, that fullness stretches further than it used to. So do the math right now if you want to. It takes 30 seconds, multiply, compare, and see where you land. If the gap is big, you have some cleanup ahead, and you already know that is doable. If you are close to 3 times your weekly attendance, take a breath. Your data is in reasonably good shape, and that deserves to be celebrated too. Now, here's something we're sitting with. 3 times is not just a floor, it's closer to a ceiling as well. A good number of profiles in your system lands right around 3 times your attendance. Do the cleanup. The value is worth the effort. Here is the thing, though. That number only tells you how many people you have in that system. It does not tell you whether what you know about each of them is actually worth anything. The more complete a profile, the better ministry can happen. The more complete profiles. So what does complete actually mean? Let me give you 5 things worth checking on in every person in your system. First, a physical mailing address along with an individual email address. Now, I want to slow down on this one because I'm going to come back to next week and unpack it further. A mailing address is not old fashioned. It is not something you can skip because everyone has email now. There's something about a card in the mailbox, a letter after a loss, an invitation that lands in someone's hand that a text message simply cannot replace. But here's what a physical address really gives you: it gives you a place to show up. When someone comes home from the hospital, when a family is grieving, when someone just needs you to walk through their front door and sit with them, an email address cannot get you there. A good app like Realm Shepherd can give you turn by turn directions straight to that place of ministry opportunity. That is not convenience. That's the difference between knowing someone needs you and actually being present for them. And it belongs on this list right alongside a working email address for individuals, not just a household email address that 5 different people share and nobody actually reads. Second, a text enabled mobile phone number. Think about the under 50 crowd in your congregation for a moment. Gen X, Gen Y, Gen Zers. How many of them still have a landline? Go pull up an old episode of Andy Griffith if you've forgotten what one of those actually looked like, sitting there on the desk with a cord attached to it. And do not forget Sarah, the operator, who had to connect your call by hand before it ever reached the other end. Those days are gone. And honestly, so is the landline for most of your congregation. Here is why that matters. That under 50 crowd does live on their mobile device, in their text, in their social media, in the apps they already keep open. Real reach today does not mean someone picked up when you called their landline. It means you showed up where they actually are, in a text thread, in a direct message, on a screen that is already in their hand. If your connect method is a landline nobody answers, you are not reaching your flock. You're hoping they wander by. Third, a birthday. Yes, including birth year. Every person, not just the head of the household, not just the children. You cannot send a birthday card, plan a milestone Sunday, or know when a member has crossed into a new season of life if that date is not sitting there in front of you. And it does more than that. Birth date and age are how you group people well. Who belongs in that youth Bible study and who's aged out? Who fits into the young adult ministry? Who is ready for a children's music group? And who is ready for the next music ministry opportunity? Without an accurate birth date on every person, you are guessing at groupings that ought to be quite obvious. Fourth, gender. It sounds simple, and it is, but you would be surprised how many systems leave it blank or guess wrong. And that small detail affects everything from how you address someone to how you group ministries by age and by stage. Fifth, family role and extended family role. Who is a parent? Who is a child? Who is a grandparent, a guardian, a step parent bringing a blended family into your church? This is the place where most systems get the weakest because no one thinks to ask about this until they need it. And you will need it at a funeral, at a wedding, at a child dedication, in that emergency when you need to know who to call. Now, 5 fields is a starting point, not a finish line. Depending upon your church, the fields you capture are going to multiply as your ministry uses that database more and more successfully. You might add allergies for children in the children's ministry, a baptism date, a spiritual gifts assessment for better volunteer placement. That growth is a good sign. It means your system is actually being used for real ministry. But before you add a single new field, ask yourself 2 questions. Who needs this information? and who is going to maintain it. A field nobody uses is just clutter sitting in your system. And a field nobody maintains is worse than clutter because inconsistent data is just as bad or worse than no data at all. Half your congregation with an answer, half with a blank or something outdated. That will mislead you faster than never having asked the question at all. Now let's bring this together because 5 things can be a lot to hold on to. If you remember nothing else but today, remember it as 3 questions. Can you reach them? A mailing address, an individual email, that text-enabled mobile phone number, that is reachability. Do you know who they are? A birth date, a gender on file, that is identity. And do you know who they belong to? A family role, an extended family role, that is relationship. Reachability, identity, relationship. 5 fields, 3 questions, 1 flock you are called to shepherd well. And that word shepherd is exactly where we're headed next, because knowing who your flock is and knowing how to reach them is only the beginning. What you do with that knowledge, how you actually show up for people in the middle of a pastoral care need, that is where this gets real. That is what we're going to talk about next time. If you found value in this topic, take just a moment and like, subscribe, and comment how you can use this information in your ministry. Also, your network of friends and pastors and fellow folk on this journey could certainly benefit from a share, and prayerfully, it will benefit their ministries as well. I am David Childers, and this is Ministry Data Matters. I would value the opportunity to have a conversation with you if you need assistance unpacking and bringing clarity to the development of the skills needed to make this happen. You can schedule a free Zoom session to discuss your needs and how I might be of assistance via the link below. Prayers and blessings for you, your family, and your church flock. Next week, we will unpack the pastoral care side of data management. See you then.